edge where the cold winds blow. Truth runs deeper than the stories they told. Cowboy criminology, ride the line, getting to the truth behind true crime.
Hey everybody, Derek Judd, the Cowboy Criminologist, here with Cowboy Criminology. I want to welcome back the Cowboy Criminology crew. Hope everybody's doing good. So we're now on to part 4 of Zulema Pastenas' interview at the Chandler Police Department with detectives from Idaho. And in the last video, she let a lot of really good information come out about why she was involved. The last thing we heard her say was, she'd Chad and Lori would bestow these blessings on you, and then they would disappear, they'd ghost, and make us question, what we had done wrong. Had we disappointed them one thing or another? You see that in domestic violence relationships. You see that in, of course, cult behavior, dealing with psychopathic people who are generally superficially glib. You know, uh, their affection for somebody goes only so far as what those people are able to do for them. A lot of misdirection. We're not telling you where we are because that's for your safety. Of course, we discussed that was nothing more than, we're not telling you because we think you're going to inform on us to the police. Um, some very interesting things, and I know this has been the buildup in this series has been kind of slow, and some of the stuff has not been terribly exciting. But when you take this, if you make it through this entire series, you're going to see that there really is something to all of this. Interview and interrogation. There really is a science to it. There's a flow to it, and it takes more than just a superficial understanding of asking questions. So far, Zulema's given a lot of really good information. It's taken her, it took her about an hour for things to really start gearing up for us. You'll notice 1 hour, 14 minutes, 5 seconds in, the detective with the sunglasses, he's now sitting up. Now he's very interested. I made the comment about the very relaxed posture, but if that was intentional, and now his posture has changed, that lets everybody in the room know that something's different. Could that have been a strategy? It absolutely could have been. Um, or it could just be, okay, whoa, now I'm hearing something that now I'm interested, now I'm engaged. Um, that's a shift because he's not backed away from the table. Now, I mean, he's right up against it. So we're going to pick it up here at 1:14:05. Just dive right back in and let's see where this takes us.
I would imagine that she was feeling like, she hadn't had any contact or any.
I have no guidance
from
now.
them since they left Vicksburg. So I remember her being in tears having that conversation.
So, kind of off what you said, is when she was in tears, and did she or anybody ask you for their numbers? If they, well, because they knew you had them, right? Because you were the one that was calling. So did they ever say, or after the conference call when she talked, and you talked to Chad and Lori, did Alex or Melanie or Ian or anybody ask you, say, hey, well, can you forward me their number? I'd like to call them and talk to them. Or was it just you that solely had their?
No, they had their number too. They had their number. If I'm not mistaken, it's probably, I can't say for sure, but I'm thinking that it was probably given to Melly that day during the call.
Did y'all see that about 115:15. Do you see that gesture where she went like this? Do you know what that is? And she was scratching her face. It has absolutely nothing to do with the video. There are people who will sit there and try to make a mountain out of that particular molehill. Sometimes a niche is just a niche. Let's not get too excited, okay? Context is everything. All right, pick it up at 1:15:20.
Conference call.
Yeah. I don't remember. I really don't know why that kind of became like a pattern. Yeah. Like, I mean, I didn't even see it as a pattern until until you're bringing it up. I didn't even realize that it had become a pattern like that. So, and it's possible that it was part of that, manipulation, part of that, you're the contact person kind of thing, or, putting you in this. This is one thing that now that we're talking about this, one of the things that they started saying to me from the beginning was that
Manipulation.
putting me in a position of being so special. In
1:16:20. So if you go back just a little bit, you'll see she looked at her attorney like, "Oh my gosh." And that open communication, like, I didn't even think about it like that until he said this. To me, that's a clear indication of honesty, of telling truth. Like, there's a sense of surprise there, and the fact that for the first time in this entire interview, she's turned to her attorney and she's like, "Whoa, did you pick up on that?" And the attorney's kind of like, "This check had better clear." Anyway, uh, but that's very telling. Like now she's starting to get the sense that maybe she was just a pawn in this whole thing. But we'll pick it up here at 1:16.
like Lori and Chad used to say to me often, your mission is the most important one. We have to take care of you more than we have to take care of anyone else, because your mission is most important and more important than anybody else's. They always said that to me from the beginning.
Okay.
And there was, Lori would say that sometimes when we would just get together, she would, say that, oh, everybody has to, make sure that you're praying and taking care of Zulema, because her mission is the most important.
Okay.
And if they had some pretty crazy plans, I mean, now it would make sense why.
Yeah.
That would be the most important, if that's,
Yeah.
if that was part of the final plan.
So along those lines, with you being the most important mission, and I know we've talked about this a little bit as far as your marriage with Alex. Was Chad or Lori directing you to marry Alex?
They were suggesting it, and they were saying that we should be together.
In 1806, cult leaders will often use ideal pairings. Wow, there's such a broad spectrum of reasons that would happen. But if you contextualize it in the terms of manipulation, domination, and control, you've pretty much got it figured out why they want this specific pairing. Um, it's it's usually nothing grandiose. It's, we want you to be married to somebody that we trust, and it's always under the guise of, oh, this is your mission, it's very important, and you need to understand that this is God's will, or this is what's needed for the prophecy to come true, or whatever it is. I have a hard time believing that Zulema was really, I mean, could she have been caught up in all of this, just like in the emotion of all of this stuff? Yeah, absolutely. I think that's probably what happened. But I think always in the back of her mind, there's just always been that doubt, like something's not right here. And so we'll pick it up here at 11806.
Chad did give me a blessing one time saying that I would get married again. And I remember telling me, I don't know about that. I'm like, I already told myself that I was never going to be married again, so I don't know about that. But I do have a feeling, even though I never heard it myself, I do have a feeling that they were probably saying that to Alex.
So did Chad or Lori ever tell you, as part of your mission, that you need to marry Alex, or that part of your mission is marrying Alex?
So the way that they presented it was that
Great question.
in order for people to finish their missions, they always had to have somebody that was going to be equal in their I guess in their spirituality, equal to them, and that they were going to be a helper to complete that mission.
Preferred
So
pairings.
then they started saying, Alex will be part of that for you. He will be the person who will be able to help you with your mission, and he will be the supporter that you will need, and things like that.
So did you believe that in order for your mission to be complete, that you needed to marry Alex? Did you believe that?
I wasn't sure, to tell you the truth, if I really had a mission. I kind of took their word for what they were saying. They like often they would say, okay, Zulema, we want you to do this, and I would go, okay, and I would just say a prayer or whatever, and then they would say, oh, Zulema, this is what you did. So it was never like I would be able, you know what I mean? Like, am I really doing any of this stuff, or are they just like saying that because they were confirming it for me, or stuff like that. So I had a lot of like things that were in my mind that were like, I don't know about this. So it was a lot. I used to tell them all the time, I'm putting that on the shelf until I can understand it, or until I have more information, or or whatever, a prompting or something about that. And I kept, praying and praying and praying about, about Alex, and he was like, he was there. You know what I mean? From the beginning.
Stop it at 120.53. Okay. So preferred pairings, it's put in her mind that marrying Alex is part of her mission. She doesn't really know or understand, but this whole idea of marrying Alex is being imparted to her in a way that does she really have a choice? Can she really say she doesn't want to do this? Or my guess would be that she was alone. Her kids were grown. Um, they found something in her that they could exploit, some weakness, some vulnerability, whether that was being alone, whether that was her commitment to her religion, her commitment to Chad and Lori, whatever the case was. Um, the seed was planted in her head that marrying Alex was somehow important. Um, but if you're trying to grow a movement, the best way to do that is to control the people within the movement. And what better way uh, to control the people in your movement than preferred pairings? If you remember the Jeffers case, the fundamental LDS leader, he was in Arizona. His brother was in Texas. I actually supervised him at one of the prisons I worked at. Such a sad case. Such a sad case. Such a sad case. Uh, I may have to do a video on that sometime about my experience with Jeffers in one of the units. Anyway, fundamental LDS leader, marriages were ordained by him. He was the prophet. So if he said, you belong to this person, well, there was a reason for it, and it was usually a higher ranking person within the uh, within the sect. I want to choose my words very carefully because I understand there are different religions out there. Fundamentalism has a difficult context that's not always positive. So I want to be very careful, and I don't want to slander an entire group for the actions of a few. So in this context, I'm talking specifically about the Jeffers led fundamentalist LDS sect. Okay, so just a little disclaimer there. With that, there's a hierarchy. There's a hierarchy for who you're married to. There's a hierarchy of where you rank in that family among the wives, and it man, I'd hate to create the genealogy chart there. But those preferred pairings, like, she wasn't sure about it, but she prayed about it, and it's very difficult to get away from that. Religion and prayer are very, very powerful. I'm the last person to say they're not. I've benefited from both. What is hard to say is when you have an outside influence telling you what you should do. And when you're being told what to believe, how to believe, what's ordained, what's your mission, that can skew the human heart into doing something that maybe you normally wouldn't do. And so we'll pick it up here at 120.53.
I want a relationship. I'm not messing around. He was like, I want to get married, and I mean, he was insistent about it, and I was like, no, wait, let's wait. No, I don't have an answer. I'm not sure about that, and I had my doubts. Let me put it that way. I had my doubts, and then I kept praying and praying and praying, and then once Alex and I got to know each other a little bit better, and we started spending time together and talking to each other. I really started liking him, and the things I liked the most about him was that he was the kind of person that I could go deep conversations and deep discussions about the scriptures, and he knew the scriptures very well.
121.41. Whoever you want me to be. I think there was a book or a lecture series with that title, Whoever You Want Me to Be. Manipulators profile. Same way I do. Same way a lot of people use criminal investigative analysis. We can have these really deep conversations. Really? Huh. All of a sudden, you two are just the epitome of compatible. Interesting. You went from not wanting to be with this person to now all of a sudden you're sharing these conversations, and what a coincidence. You share the same beliefs, the same likes, the same dislikes, all of these things. My wife and I don't even like the same things, and we are, it's the most compatible relationship I've ever been in. But we don't like all the same things. We don't like doing all the same things. So, and yeah, my wife and I can have really deep conversations, but in this context, with Chad and Lori on the periphery, you almost have to accept as a matter of fact that Chad and Lori were telling Alex how to bring Zulema into this whole thing. You just almost have to. All right, so we'll pick it up here at 121:41.
And sometimes we would sit on the phone for like 2 hours discussing scriptures. And I'm like, I've never been able to do anything like that with anybody. I mean, much less, someone who was interested in me. You know what I mean? So when I went there, I think I went there in October, I think it was, around October 7th. He was ready to get married. He was like, he said that he had called, I guess another county where you could just go, kind of like Las Vegas type of thing. You can just go and you can get your license and you can get married right away. And he was like, I mean, he was
ready to go.
He was ready.
122:37. You're all picking up on love bombing. I want to get married. We're going to get married. Call a county in the state where you reside that doesn't have excuse me. I've been at this for a few hours now, and my voice is starting to go. But yeah, the love bombing. Yeah, we're gonna get married. So I'm gonna find a place that doesn't require a waiting period. It was there's my wife and I had to get our marriage license 30 days before our wedding date, a minimum of 30 days before our wedding date, or the marriage would be void. And he wants to go to a place that doesn't have those restrictions. That's manipulation. That's, if he can convince her, get her swept up in everything, by the time she realizes she's made a mistake, it's going to be too late. And if she's committed to her faith, there's, divorce is a no-go in a lot of religions with very minimal exceptions. This poor lady seems to have gotten it just from all sides, doesn't she? But we'll pick it up here at 122:37.
I was like, no, Alex, I'm like, I am not 100% sure that I want to do this, so I need to wait. I need to wait. And he's like, okay, we'll wait. For as long as you want to, we'll wait. I mean, he wanted to, but he wasn't like pressuring me, you know what I mean? He just said he was ready. And then when he was coming back down from Rexburg for when he was coming down for Thanksgiving, a couple of days, I think it was the day before he arrived, I was praying and I was asking, and I just got this feeling that, like, okay, I think that it's time for me to marry him.
Do you think Alex was pressuring you because Chad and Lori wanted him to get married to you?
Mm-hmm. It's possible.
And this might be a tough question. Do you think Alex truly loved you, or was just doing it because Chad and Lori?
Criminology, it never fails.
I asked that myself many times, and I don't know if someone could actually fake it that well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I didn't love somebody, I don't know if I
Stop here at 124:05. Notice this is something interesting. If somebody feels uncomfortable in an interview or interrogation, they'll often turn to the person who's talking to them or the person they feel most comfortable with. But she has no problem turning in her chair and addressing people individually. That's generally a really good sign of openness, because she turned her chair towards the detective with the sunglasses on his head, and she's talking directly to him, answering specifically his questions. And like I said, this is my first time watching this video, and so I'm making these comments, and then just seconds later, something is coming up that just kind of, confirms my suspicions. It really is a powerful tool if it's used correctly. I think a lot of people misunderstand it and misapply it. And so that prevents criminology from being recognized as a hard science. Um, Personally, I think any discipline involving dealing with human behavior or why people do anything is the very definition of a hard science, because I think if you could figure out the answer to that and turn it into an easy science, uh, you could rule the world. But yeah, let's see where this goes. 124.05.
Doting over that person. At least I couldn't fake it. Maybe he could. And if he could fake it, then he was a really good faker. Okay? Because he was like, he doted over me. And maybe that's one of the things that they told him to do. Maybe that's what maybe that was his orders that they had given him, was for him to be doting over me. But he would,
Love
like,
bombing.
from the minute that he got up until he went to bed, he made sure that I was happy, that I was taken care of, that I had everything. Like I told you, I mean, one day I was like, what sounds really good right now, Alex? He's like, what? I was like, salsa and chips. And he got up and he picked up his kids and goes, I'll be right back. And he was out the door. He went to got me chips and salsa, and he came back. He goes, here you go. And he would say all the time, as you wish. As you wish. So I don't know. It is a possibility that, yes, he could have faken that, yet. So it had to be a really, really good faker.
As you wish.
Were you in love with him when you got married, or were you doing it because Chad and Lori?
I loved him. I loved Alex very much.
So 125.23. Okay, so could his feelings have been genuine for Zulema? Yeah, absolutely. And could he have been manipulated by Chad and Lori? Of course. I think what you're seeing here is maybe he really believed in Chad and Lori's vision for his life. And he wanted to impart upon Zulema how important she was to that. And so there's the whole perfect man complex, but that's still a form of love bombing. Catering to every whim. Nothing's off limits. Whatever you want to do. There comes a point with that where you have to wonder if I'd certainly wonder if it was going to come with strings attached. And it seems like Zulema didn't think about a lot of this stuff at the time, but now looking back on it with the gift of hindsight, she's starting to question: was he a really good faker? What were her previous relationships like? If she had very toxic relationships, I'm kind of leaning to the fact that she might have, because she said that she had no interest in getting married, one thing or another. And now all of a sudden, Chad and Lori are telling her one thing. Alex is ready to get married. I mean, deep conversations. Did she let things slip about her past? And did he pick up on what he needed to do to become that perfect person for her? Certainly not out of the realm of possibility. But man, there's not enough money that's ever been printed on the planet. Not enough gold has been mined from this planet to get me to switch places with her. 125.23.
I'm just going to go back on a couple questions on his. Before we stopped the first time, we were in the hospital with Alex, and I think it was Chandler or Gilbert that was in there. Gilbert Police in the hospital as well. Your son-in-law said that he has an attorney now, so if you want to talk to us, talk to the attorney. What did he need an attorney for at that time?
You mean what did he need an attorney, or what
No,
did he need an attorney
and
for
I
me?
might have misunderstood you before Derek stepped out the first time. You were telling Ray once Alex was in the hospital, you were there, and I believe your son-in-law was there, and the Gilbert police were asking something, and he mentioned to him that either he has an attorney or there's an attorney for Alex, so talk to the attorney now. Was he talking about Alex having an attorney at that time, or was he talking about himself having an attorney? Does that make sense?
Yes. So he was talking about he was saying that his attorney to talk to his attorney because he was going to be representing me from then on.
Talk to Alex's attorney?
No,
Or to
my son-in-law's attorney.
Okay, why would he need an attorney? I guess is what I'm asking.
Why
Yeah.
did he have an attorney?
Yeah, why would he need one at that time?
So what happened was that my son-in-law came out of a parking lot from I think it was
It's a good
You can
question.
Pick it up and tell the story. I don't think he cares why your son-in-law knew the attorney. Did your son-in-law need an attorney under this investigation?
under this not
Okay.
under this investigation.
Okay,
It
so
was
the
for
police
something
attorney
else.
for her.
Oh,
He contacted an attorney that he knew for her.
okay.
Yes.
And I guess that's what I'm getting at. Why did you feel you needed an attorney at that time?
I didn't. He felt that I
He
did.
felt, okay, all right, that's what I was, sorry if that was confusing.
I was so out of it at the time. I didn't.
Okay, that makes sense because a lot of times people may talk to an attorney like one time in their entire life, and their answer for every law enforcement encounter is, "Well, I've got an attorney." It's like, what kind of law does he practice? Oh, he does everything. All right. Uh, it does become kind of an issue, but yeah, it's a great question. Why did he get an attorney? Well, he got an attorney for her, um, for Zulema apparently, and that's not. I mean, that's good forethought. It really is. He may have been sitting here thinking, yeah, something's not right about this. I don't want her to get in trouble. I'm going to get her an attorney. I happen to know an attorney, and at the very minimum, the attorney can just sit there and say, don't answer any questions until I get there. If the attorney realizes it's something that they can't handle, they'll make recommendations for somebody who can. Uh, it's it's not as convoluted as it sounds. Like I said, she's answering the questions that are being asked of her without maybe truly understanding what the detectives are asking. So the attorney did a good job stepping in there and keeping everything on track and keeping everything focused. But we'll jump back in here at 127.50.
No, I didn't know what was coming or going, and he was adamant. He was like, nope, you're not speaking to the police without an attorney. And then I remember when I got home, they tried to interrogate me again. This time they said that they were going to separate me and the kids and interrogate us again. And then again my son-in-law called and said, your attorney is going to be calling
Gotcha.
the person, and said, just because he had taken me to his car, and so he's like, just get out of the car, tell him that he needs to talk to your attorney, go inside, tell the kids that you're not answering any more questions, and that to talk to the attorney from now on. So I went inside and I told the kids that.
Was there a reason why he thought you needed an attorney?
If you know.
Or was it just, if you knew,
He
He had a really bad experience with the police just prior to that. That's the reason why he knew that. A really bad experience. And he just...
Didn't trust police.
Yeah.
During the time when you talked to Lori and Chad,
Not uncommon.
did you ever have any other phones, or did you always just have your one phone? And the reason why I ask this is because throughout this whole investigation, there's been throw phones over here, throw phones over there. You mentioned throw phones last time you and I spoke here. Did you ever have any other phones or phone numbers?
No.
Okay.
This is the only phone number I had. I did get a phone, like I told you guys, the day that Alex
Burner
died,
phones.
because the police took my phone and I needed to have a phone until they returned it.
Okay.
So,
And I might have been dozing off or something. You might have already talked about this. Well, I know we talked about the code words and all that. When would you need to use code
Okay,
words?
interesting. So 13020. They did take her phone. What did they do with it? Like a lot of this stuff seems like it could have answered a lot of their questions if they had the phone, or if anybody in law enforcement had the phone. Why wasn't a dump done on the phone? Uh, so then, yeah, she went and got another phone. This is far from Karen Reed, where I have no idea on God's green earth what friends and family plan everybody attached to that case had, but within 2 months of the death in that case, uh, everybody got a new phone, and the way they got new phones and what they did with the old phones, it was just fantastic. The gall of the prosecution and the gall that the prosecution had in taking a second bite at the apple and thinking that it was going to turn out any better for him than it had the first time, to me was just wild. I call it the Casey Anthony effect. And if you haven't watched that video yet, it's a great video. It's a great case study. Um, had the prosecutors in that case gone with the evidence that they could prove, it's my opinion that Casey Anthony probably would have done more time, uh, more time on that, on those stacked felonies that they could prove, rather than, if I'm not mistaken, they tried to go after her for capital murder, which lesser included offense to that would be murder. So it would seem like it would seem like prosecutors have a hard time learning that lesson. They're like, no, we're going to get it this time. We're going to get it this time. And when the evidence isn't there, you have to present the strongest case you have. You know, the military equivalent is you go into war or battle with the soldiers that you have, with weapons that you have, and you make do. The idea that a jury, and this is kind of interesting. Think about the Casey Anthony case. The jury did its job. Now, nobody liked the verdict. The jury didn't even like the verdict, but they followed the judge's instructions. Did the prosecution prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt? They proved elements of the case. Had they gone with any of the other felonies, they would have been golden, but they didn't. They went for the brass ring and they fell short, and so we all know how that ended up. So that's just something that's just always staggering. It's like, okay, you made it to trial, and yeah, a hung jury, it's not perfect, but at the same time, you would think a light bulb would come on that, hey, we just don't have a strong enough case to move forward. And that's not what happened. Uh, So let's get back to Zulema and see what else we've got going on.
And why did Chad and Lori think that code words were necessary?
So the way that they had expressed it was because, you were a high level 6 dark person, and so
I'm
was
sure you
your
would have been too. I mean, that's just.
Oh, yeah,
and so
I-
was your partner, right?
I'd be his boss.
And you guys were seeking their destruction, and you guys were working with Kay seeking their destruction, and they needed to have protection because, they were saying that the kids were safe and they had them in a safe place. So, in order for them to be safe from you and your UK and your partners, because you were all very high level dark people.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Do you mind looking in your phone to see if I've got a number, and I was wondering
But it does to one of
if
us.
it might match up to someone you might know.
Okay?
It's 602 290 7288.
602-290?
Yeah.
Nothing comes up. But for some reason that 290, isn't that part of Alex's number?
It's in your phone. It should.
It's up there at 132.19. Yeah, it's nice to know that I'm not the only person on the planet who doesn't have phone numbers memorized. Um, you know, uh, I always used to envy my sister. She was the social butterfly of us kids, and she would do. She would have phone numbers memorized for hundreds of people, businesses, radio stations. I mean, you name it. And she could just, oh, that's this number, and just rattle it off like it was nothing. And I've never been that person, but at the same time, it's never forced me to sit down and memorize phone numbers. So it's nice to see that you know technology has taken away a valuable skill. Uh, Although interestingly enough, I have never arrested or seen a career criminal arrested who wasn't able to recall phone numbers right off the top of their head. Like they they already knew if there's any chance I'm getting arrested, I need to have these numbers memorized. So there is that. 132.19.
Yeah.
What is it? See, there's a lot of stuff that my granddaughter got a hold of that phone that I had during those.
Everything.
And I don't know if you knew this, but I didn't know this, that if your phone and your old phone are connected to the same Wi-Fi, that if you do something on the old phone, it will show up on your new phone.
Gotcha.
So she deleted like
Deleted all that.
hundreds and hundreds of phone numbers
Oh,
from
no.
my phone. I'm still trying to recoup them, so.
Do you still have Chad in your phone at all?
I think so.
What do you have his numbers under?
He had one that he kept all
The
time.
idea that all those phone numbers would not be recoverable once again goes back to my point about getting an electronic search warrant, dumping the phone, making sure you have all that stuff. Um, so the number does seem to ring a bell to her, but she's not sure where it came from. Um, that to me is probably so far the only suspicious thing about her, at least in this interview. We'll pick it up here at 133.17.
Let me see if it's still there. No, it's not. Okay, let me see if I can find it under see if that's one of the ones that got deleted. Um, Okay, I have 208-690-9374.
I would think all of that would be recoverable.
Okay.
I mean, you can't delete anything off an electronic device.
Was that the only one?
I'm looking, let's see if there is any other ones. I don't see another one.
Okay. I know, I mean, throughout all this, looking into stuff, Chad went by another name, Raphael. Do you have that in your phone by chance?
Ooh.
13421. I think if you're going to be involved with people who are constantly shuffling cell phones around, who are not like cell phone dealers, you might want to rethink your association. Pick it back up.
Let me see. Maybe. No, you don't. But.
Does that ring a bell with you though, the Raphael?
Mm-hmm. But I remember he had changed the number, and Alex.
Why?
Uh,
Why does it ring a bell?
Asked me for it, and his number was 602-290-7288. Is that the one that you were just asking me for?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
That's
whose is it?
Chad's.
That's Chad's. And Alex texted you that.
Yes.
When did he text you that? Do you still have that?
He texted me that on December 5th.
Okay.
So on Zulema, on a couple of those recordings, you refer to him, Chad, as Raphael. Is that what you called him normally, or did you normally call him Chad?
I would call him Chad.
Chad.
Mm-hmm.
So when did you call him? Sometimes you just call him Raphael, because on one of those you say, "Let me call Raphael's calling through." Is that just sometimes you would call him that, or
Yeah, yes,
during
sometimes.
certain times? Or?
I think that Alex used to call him Raphael a lot. So if I was saying something like that, it's probably because Alex was with me, because he would call him that.
Gotcha.
So.
Well, you still had it in your phone. That's good. The number.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have that particular number in my text or in my phone, but I remember him asking me for that number. And I remember me saying, Raphael just reached out to me and he has a new number.
Oh, nice. And that was on the 5th of December?
On the 4th.
Oh, 4th.
And
Okay.
then Alex asked me for it on the 5th.
Gotcha.
We'll stop there. 13642. So it's interesting. So is this a nickname? Is this something he just wanted people to start calling him? Does it have the religious connotation of Raphael the Archangel? Was he just a huge Ninja Turtle fan? We don't know. I wish the detectives would have kind of seized that moment and asked about that. Like, why Raphael? Why was that important? But when you're adding in multiple cell phones and code words for when it's safe to talk or not safe to talk, and now you've got this suspicious nom de guerre or nom de plume, however you want to look at it. It's just interesting, and I think they kind of dropped the ball on an opportunity. And would it change anything in this case? Probably not. But what you're looking for is insight into a victim, especially if that victim has some ties to uh, significant criminal activity. So anyway, we'll stop it there. We'll pick it back up at 136:42 for the very final part 5 of the Zulema Pastenas interviews. I'm Derek Judd, the Cowboy Criminologist with Cowboy Criminology. Y'all stay safe. Take care.
Out on the edge where the cold winds blow, truth runs deeper than the stories they told. Cowboy Criminology, ride the line, getting to the truth behind true crime.